Good morning, everybody. This is September Wheatridge Business Association luncheon, virtual luncheon. I am so bummed that crazy Colorado weather, we're getting rain and it's supposed to be snowing soon. So I hope you got all your plants and vegetables covered outside. And so I'm just looking to see who's all here. I see Cheryl Brungart, Christine Jensen. Good morning, Christine. And Margie Cipher. Good morning, Margie. And Stephanie. Oh, hi, Stephanie from Raising Cane's, one of our new members joining us. And we're just waiting for people to come on. And one of the things, Cheryl, we were talking about sharing the commercials because they cannot speak on the online. Do we still want to do that?
Yes.
And so if you have a chat box, and if you want to say, oh, there is Bud. So, but before I hand it over to Bud, if you want to type in your chat box your commercials, what you do, and anything interesting that's going on with your business that you want to share and promote, please feel free to type that all in, and we'll try to share that in another ways as well. So please make sure during this meeting, share your business information, commercials in the chat box. And with that, I want to hand that over to Mr. Bud Starker, who's our MC today. Thank you, Bud.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Maki, and good morning, everyone. Glad to have everybody with you. I hope everyone has had a great Labor Day weekend. So it's I'm up here. We extended our stay, so I don't know. Maybe you all are having snow down there. It's pretty nice up here where I am, but glad to have everybody join us. So, let me see how I move this over here, and we've got. I was having trouble getting to my agenda, but let's see if I can do this. We have today we want to welcome everyone, and we have an opportunity for our President's Circle and patron members to share about their business or their organization. And we're really fortunate today to have Stephanie Magali, and I hope that's the right pronunciation, with Raising Cane's, who's a President's Circle member. And I'd like to see if she can join us for about a 5-minute presentation on her new business, which we're very happy to have here in Wheatridge. So Stephanie, are you, take it away. Stephanie, can you hear me? And I will.
I think Stephanie is under the attendee.
And Stephanie.
Can we bring Stephanie up on? I see her screen up on the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Are we able to?
Stephanie was originally logged in as a panelist, but now she's logged in as attendee.
Do you have any communication with her at this point, Maki?
Not right now, but let's move on to Ashley, and while we're doing that, we'll try to bring Stephanie back.
Well, terrific. We will work on getting Stephanie back online with us today. But in the meantime, we're really happy to have Ashley Holland with Local Works. Local Works is a patron member with the WRBA, and she's going to give us a little update on what's happening at Local Works. Ashley, I hope you're able to join us on the line.
Hi.
There you are.
Can you see me? Good. How are you, Bud?
Great.
So I just want to come on and mention a few things about Local Works. I think many of you know about our work in the community, but for those of you who may not, we're a nonprofit in Wheat Ridge, and we do community and economic development programming, a lot of different things. And you may know some of our big events that we're not able to have in the same way that we usually have. So this weekend is still Ridge Fest. For those of you that know what Ridge Fest usually looks like, it's typically over at the green in front of Stevens Elementary, one evening full of family fun. This year, to make it safe and fun and get our local businesses even more involved, we are kind of deconstructing the event and pulling it apart. So it's going to take place over the course of an entire weekend rather than just one evening. So from Friday to Sunday, we have so many different events. We have classic cars, bluegrass, we have plein air art, which is at Five Fridges Farm. You can go watch live painting demonstrations. We have professional chalk artists over at Founders Park. So something to keep in mind for this year, we are ticketing a lot of these events just to keep the numbers within where they need to be for Jeffco Public Health and the state public health. So make sure if you want to join us and walk around Five Fridges Farm and watch the live painting or see any of that, that you get on the website and get some tickets so that we can keep everyone nice and safe. So you can go to ridget38.com/ridgefest to get all of those tickets. And then we are also putting some bands at local restaurants. I know we're going to have a great duo at West 29th. So if you want to go see Bud's restaurant, we've got another great duo that'll be at Clancy's on Saturday. And then we have Pick and Howl, which is actually a local band. At least one of the members lives in Wheat Ridge, maybe a couple of them, and they'll be at Bardo Friday night. And those are not ticketed events. We just ask that you go and patronize those businesses and be respectful of any kind of stipulations that they have. And if it gets too crowded there, then keep that in mind. So get reservations at the places that you can, and we hope to see you this weekend. So check out everything we've got going on. And and one last thing, we also have our cleanup day on Saturday as well. So if you have some junk you need to get rid of, then you can come by St. James Episcopal Church right off of 44th and clean up your neighborhood. And that's it for me. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Well, thank you, Ashley. Great report. Looking forward to a new type of Ridge Fest. It's we're all learning as we go on this whole experiment. So anyway, thanks for a great report, and thanks for the great work that Ridge Fest does in our community. I want to go back and see if we've got Stephanie tuned in. Do you know if she's able to join us now?
I think she's still trying to access. So,
okay.
Yep, we'll move on and we'll plug her in when she's able to join us.
Okay, well, we'll give Stephanie a little bit more time. And our next on our agenda is, I want to introduce Maki DeLay. Maki is the president of the Wheat Ridge Business Association, and we've got a lot of things going on and a great board of directors. And Maki really does a lot for our group, and she's got some updates for us. So Maki, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Bud. Good morning, everybody. I got a lot to share today. Oops, am I echoing? Okay, I'll try it this way. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you well, thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna keep going. So we have lots going on in Wheat Ridge, and one of the first things I wanna share is the citywide Shop Local, Shop Wheat Ridge campaign. You may have seen this around the city. We have the bus shelters all through the major thoroughfare of within the city of Wheat Ridge, and we are able to working with City of Wheatridge Economic Development and Public Works and also Local Works and Wheatridge Chamber, be able to bring this to you to promote and remind our local residents and the people who coming through Wheatridge to shop local at Wheatridge. So what this entails is that so this ad is directing the traffic or people to go look at our website, wheatridgebiz.com, and Wheatridge Chamber's website, wheatridgechamber.org. And so as a member, you have a profile page on the wheatridgebiz.com website. So, and you have a complete control over what goes on that page. That means that any promotions, specials, or anything that events that you'd like to share with local shoppers, please put that up there, and you can change it as often as you like. And this is part of your membership benefit, that all of the members have their own member profile page. So please update your profile today to help this campaign successful. So, and that's a Shop Local, Shop Wheatridge program. And then we also want to welcome new member JJ Pooley from Wheatridge Optimist to be able to join us. She's not able to join us today, but she will be joining us from next month's meeting. Again, and to help out the small businesses, Energize Colorado is accepting an application for the Colorado Gap Fund. The Gap Fund is for it's not they have grant portion of the program, and then also the loan program as well. The Energize Colorado Gap Fund will provide more than $25 million in small business loans and grants to boost small business enterprises that are the economic energy engines throughout the state. Sole proprietors, businesses, and nonprofits with less than 25 full-time employees can apply for up to a $15,000 grant and a $20,000 loan for a possible combined total of $35,000 in financial assistance. Now, this one has a application process and selection process, and once selected for grant and or loan, you will have to work with their the assistant to work through this program that they will help you through this hard time. So for more information, please go visit energizecolorado.com/gap-fund. They have some the videos and things that are useful to help you understand what this program is about. So, and next we had a 2020 board election that went on in July. I called the special meeting for this. So, and all of the votes are in, and the board members, the continuing board members shown on the screen are ratified for 2020-2021 year to continue. And then after that, at the board retreat, we have the board of directors have voted in to fill the vacancy that we have new board members: Larry Burnett of Fountainhead Commercial, Joe Sehuson of Colorado Home Realty, and Lynn Tran of Wild and Precious Optimal Living to join us at the board director to help us bring you the best program that we can offer and resources we can offer to help you business. So please welcome them, and when you see them, please thank them for their involvement. And also with that, we'd like to thank our outgoing board members, Tina Marie Cipher, Cipher Specialties, Tim Rogers as Genesee Commercial Group, and Tom Rep, Boatwright Rep and Lusk LLC, and Mr. Bud Stocker at West 29th Restaurant and Bar. Thank you, all of those who have helped in some many years, and in some done others, but they all put in a lot of work and a lot of caring effort into our association. So I thank you on behalf of everybody from Richards Business Association. And finally, we also continue with the coffee networking in the park. The next one we have is Wednesday, September 23rd from 8 to 9 a.m. at Discovery Park, which is 38th and Kipling. And there's a sign-up sheet online at richardsbiz.com, and you are welcome to bring your own coffee. We're not serving any, but or you don't have to. But please come enjoy some in-person networking time. So that is all I have today, Bud. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maki, and congratulations and thank you to Lowry and Joe and Lynn for joining our board of directors. It's a great organization, and the board does great work, and it was my pleasure to serve, and I really appreciate the opportunity. And I want to thank all of the retiring board members also. So have we been able, we've got Stephanie on here for a president's membership spotlight. Let's see if we've been able to get Stephanie live on the internet here. Stephanie, are you able to join us? Doesn't look so. I've got your graphics up on the screen, and I haven't been. We've been out of town. I haven't been able to get to Raising Cane's Kitchen or the Chicken, but this is a new restaurant located at the corners at Wheat Ridge, and I'm really excited to get to taste their chicken, because I understand it's really a delicious fare. But I think we may want to hang on with Stephanie's update and her President's Circle presentation until maybe after our speakers. So I think at this point I would let's see, get back to my agenda, and I believe that we are ready to go to Cheryl Garcia to introduce our speaker. Cheryl, we're a little bit early, but I would like to turn it over to you.
All right, great. Welcome, everybody. And that chicken is very yummy. We got some free dinners because we went to BizMix and she was handing out free coupons, and it was very yummy. Thank you all for being here today, and happy winter. for 2 days, right? But we're so glad that you're here, and we're so glad that Bradley was able to accommodate us today indoors where it's warm. So the title of our presentation today is Celebrate America, Inspiration from Our History and People Who Created It. So our speaker, Bradley Beck, is a distinguished Toastmaster, and he started 6 of those clubs. He graduated from the leadership program of the Rockies. He's a Leader in Action Award winner, an advisory board member, a professional floral, Communicators International, lifetime member of the Optimist Club of Erie. He's the board of directors of the Association for Creative Industries, director of Yes, which is a national sales manager and design master color tool. Bradley is married, has 4 children, and is known as Grand Brad to his 3 grandchildren. And he was up at 4:45 this morning working out. So thank you, Bradley, for being here today.
Thank you, Cheryl. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind, to talk health, happiness, and prosperity to everyone you meet, to make all your friends feel like there's something in them, to look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true, to think only of the best, to work for only the best, and to expect only the best, to be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own, to forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future, to wear a cheerful countenance at all times and to give every living creature you meet a smile, to spend so much time on the improvement of yourself, you have now no time to worry about others, to be too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of any trouble. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I could be there with you today live, but I was asked to do this presentation indoors, a little inclement weather. But I just shared with you what's known as the Optimist Creed. It was written in 1912 by Christian D. Larson and was adopted by the Optimist International. The purpose of the Optimist Club is to promote optimism as a philosophy of life, to promote an active interest in good government and civic affair, to inspire a respect for law, to promote patriotism and international accord among all people, and to aid and encourage the development of youth in the belief that giving oneself in service to others will advance the well-being of humankind, our communities, and our world. I am a card-carrying member of the Optimist Club of Erie, Colorado, and I was so glad to hear that you have an Optimist member now in your association. In optimism, we're known as the Friends of Youth. We're part of the fabric of the community, much like a Lions Club or a Kiwanis or any other Rotary service type of club that is invested in our community. But first and foremost, I would suggest it's invested in the people who are members of that club. The reason I bring this up is, what do you do every day when you get up? Do you have a positive attitude? Do you believe in a yes attitude? As I was introduced, I heard my name being introduced as the national sales manager for my company. We're an international color marketing company based in Boulder. What that means is I sell spray paint in the flower, craft, and creative industries. But I learned real quick, marketing and talking and listening, more important to people, and having a yes attitude, you have to approach things in a way that gets people to attract to you. So I changed my title to the Director of Yes for my company. And when you call my phone at my office, you'll hear the following. Yes, I'm not available. Yes, if you leave a message, I'll get back to you. And yes, I appreciate you leaving a message. How do we approach things today, especially in the COVID era, in this era of all this acrimony that's going on around us? Do we let our fear take over, or do we become informed? You know, we live in the greatest country ever. Even with all this strife, even with all the various activities that are going on, it doesn't matter what political party or flavor you are, it doesn't matter what your background is. America is an exceptional nation. The Iron Lady of Great Britain, Margaret Thatcher, once said, quote, "Europe was founded on its history, but America was founded on an idea," end of quote. What was that idea? What is that idea? Well, for the first time in human history, a group of men came together and recognized the equal, universal, natural rights of all people. That's an amazing thing in the annals of history. These men who founded our country realized that America was unique. I'm fortunate because I was born, I think, in the golden days of America. I was born in 1959. I grew up in Southern California and came here to Colorado about 20 years ago. But when I was in middle school, or junior high school as we called it, I was summoned to the principal's office. Now, for many of you, you may think, oh my goodness, the principal's office. Well, two things you should know about being summoned to the administration office. The first thing is, I knew all the folks in the administration because I was student body president. But more importantly, they had the greatest coffee cake and coffee there, and it was right there at the teacher's lounge. So I was not intimidated when I was summoned to the teacher's lounge in the administration building. I was greeted by Mr. Jack Thompson, our principal, big bear of a man, dark glasses, short crew cut, kind of like my hair. And he smiled and he extended his hand. Next to him was our student government teacher, Miss Joan Elam. She was kind of a Marlo Thomas with the perfect blonde flip. Next to her was a gentleman I noticed from the local newspapers. You remember newspapers, don't you? Well, there was Robert M. Wilkinson, our local counselor. And in the back of the room, setting up for a presentation I didn't know why I was there for, these two gentlemen in attractive powder blue leisure suits. Anybody remember leisure suits? Am I dating myself? For those of you who don't, ask some of the older folks in your association. I was there summoned to be awarded this Youth Appreciation Citation Award from the Optimist Club of Northridge, California. I didn't know why. You see, we did all the things that any other student organization did. We had the magazine drives and we had the food drives, but we did one thing that was unique. We played wheelchair basketball with a group of kids in a different school, a school for kids that we used to call handicapped. These were kids that either had spine injuries or had no legs for whatever reason in an accident. And we played once a month wheelchair basketball against them. I have to tell you, they kicked our butt every time we played them. They were awesome. And we became friends and we got in the local newspaper and we were even on a local television station for a public affairs program. But I learned one thing. I learned that it didn't matter what your physical appearance was. It didn't matter how you actually moved around the world. What was important was up here, your mind, your attitude. So the Optimist Club was something that I sought out when I moved to Erie, Colorado about 20 years ago. And I'm glad I did, because not only did it serve myself, but like most of you who are invested in your communities, we serve the youth of our community. And that to me is talking about celebrating our future. Well, we've been celebrating America for over 244 years, and we've had ups and downs. In the beginning of our nation, there was a struggle. America was founded by a variety of people in a variety of backgrounds seeking their freedom, seeking the ability to be free, to live as individuals. In 1775, there was a gathering of individuals in the second Congress of Virginia. Each of the colonies considered themselves states, and each state had their own group of people in charge. In Virginia, it was the House of Burgesses, and they met in Williamsburg. But in this particular time, they could not meet because the king and his emissary would not let them gather. So they went down to Richmond, and they found the biggest building that they could find at the time, St. John's Church. They gathered for a few days to listen to each other and try to decide whether or not they should be invested in the coming storm of the revolution that was brewing in North America. And mind you, it was British North America. The Americans wanted to have representation, but they didn't have it. They were taxed on tea, and of course we know about the Boston Tea Party. They were taxed on playing cards and paper and textiles. They were the intolerable acts, and the Americans finally had enough. But the people in Virginia were on the fence. They didn't know whether or not to join those up in Massachusetts who were blockaded and surrounded by British troops, or whether or not to keep acquiescent to the crown. When they met in the audience, which was overflowing in St. John's Church, there was people hanging outside the windows to listen to the oratory that was going on. There were men like George Washington, a young Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and Benjamin Harrison, all future presidents, attending this event. After listening to other speakers for 2 days, a very successful lawyer from Hanover County, a gentleman you probably know about, Patrick Henry, got up to speak. And he spoke from the heart and had a call to action. Mr. President, No man thinks as highly as I do about the very worthy gentlemen that have just addressed the House. But different men often see the same subject in different lights. And therefore, I hope it not be thought disrespectful to those gentlemen, if entertaining as I do, an opinion of a character very opposite of theirs. I shall speak forth my sentiments freely and without reserve. This is no time for ceremony. The question before the House is one of awful moment for this country. For my own part, I shall consider it nothing less than a question of freedom or slavery. And in proportion to the magnitude of the subject ought to be the freedom of the debate. It is only in this way that we should hope to arrive at truth and fulfill our great responsibility to God and country. Should I hold back my opinions at such a time for fear of giving offense, I shall consider it nothing less than an act of treason towards my country and an act of disloyalty to the majesty of heaven, which I revere above all earthly kings. Mr. President, it is natural for men to indulge in the illusion of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against the painful truth and listen to that song of the siren till she transforms us to beasts. Is this the part of wise men engaged in the great and arduous struggle for liberty? Are we disposed to be of the number of those who, having eyes, see not, and having ears, hear not those things which so nearly concern our temporal salvation? For my part, whatever anguish of spirit it may cost, I am willing to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but it. I have but one lamp by which my feet are guided, and that is the lamp of experience. I know of no other way of judging the future but by the past. And judging by the past, I wish to know what there has been in the conduct of the British ministry for the last 10 years, for which the gentlemen have been pleased to solace themselves and the House. Is it that insidious smile with which our petition has been lately received? Trust it not, sir. It will prove a snare to your feet. Suffer not yourselves to be betrayed with a kiss. Ask yourself how this gracious reception to our petition comports with the warlike preparations which cover our waters and darken our land. Are fleets and armies a necessary act of reconciliation? Have we shown ourselves so unwilling to be reconciled that force must be used to win back our love? Let us not deceive ourselves, sir. These are the implements of war and subjugation, the last arguments to which kings resort. I ask, gentlemen, sir, what means this martial array if its purpose be not to force us into submission? Can gentlemen assign any other possible motive for it? Has Great Britain any enemy in this quarter of the world to accumulate all these navies and armies? No, she has none. They are meant for us. They can be meant for no other. They are meant to bind and rivet upon us those chains which the British ministry has been so long forging. And what have we to oppose them? Shall we try argument? Sir, we have been trying that for the last 10 years. Do we have anything new to offer upon the subject? Nothing. We have held up the subject in every light of which it is capable, but it has all been in vain. Sir, we have done everything to avert the storm that is now coming on. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated ourselves at the foot of the throne and implored its interposition to arrest the tyrannical hands of the ministry and the parliament. Our petitions have been slighted. Our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult. Our supplications have been ignored, and we have been spurned with contempt at the foot of the throne. In vain, after all these things, may we indulge in the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve inviolate those inestimable privileges for which we have been so long contending, if we mean to not basely abandon the noble struggle in which we have been so long engaging and in which we have pledged never to abandon until the object of our contest shall be obtained, we must fight. I repeat, sir, we must fight. An appeal to arms and the God of hosts is all that is left to us. They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to go against such an adversary. But when shall we be stronger? Shall it be next week or next year? Shall it be when we are totally disarmed and there's a British guard stationed at every home? Shall we find inaction and irresolution? Shall we have the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusive phantom of hope until our enemies have us bound by hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak if we make proper use of those means which the God of nature hath placed in our power. 3 millions of people armed in the holy cause of liberty and in such a country as which we possess are invincible against any enemy thrown against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destiny of nations and will send friends to fight our battles for us. Besides, sir, we have no election. Even if we were base enough to desire it, it is now too late to retreat from the contest. There is no retreat but in submission and slavery. Our chains are already forged. Their clanging may be heard on the plains of Boston. The war has actually begun, and let it come. I repeat, sir, let it come. It is in vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war has actually begun. The next gale that sweeps in from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand here we idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is peace so sweet, ere life so dear, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. A powerful speech in 1775 by Patrick Henry. It's a call to action, an action that we all as Americans have to remember that when we're called up as citizens, we need to know what citizenship is all about. To be self-restrained and self-reliant, to be self-assertive when needed, and to have civic knowledge. This glorious speech about taking action and patriotism is something that we should all read. Many of us read the Declaration of Independence, perhaps on Independence Day. Others of us may just have hot dogs and hamburgers and a beer and enjoy the day. But I would encourage you to sit down with the young people in your family and celebrate that particular speech. It speaks to the heart of who we are as Americans. There's another great American speech that I'm often fond of, and it also helps me explain the idea of public speaking. You know, we all have the opportunity to speak, and the one question I would ask you is, imagine that you were asked to get up and speak about any subject. What would you speak about? Many of us would speak about our jobs or our family, our work, or our vocations, our hobbies, and that's awesome. I like speaking about America because it reminds me of how fortunate we are as a people. We live in the greatest times, even with all the things that are going on that are conceived as negative. I don't know about you, but I got up this morning, had running water. I turned on the lights. I went to the gym at 4:45. Doesn't look like it because I like to eat. But we all have the opportunity here in this great land. On July 1, 2, and 3, An incident happened in a little southern town in Pennsylvania. It was a crossroads town. It started as a beautiful, hot summer, humid day in southern Pennsylvania. There was a skirmish that grew into a battle that became a bloodbath. We know that day in that time as the Battle of Gettysburg. 50,000 casualties happened in that battle in 3 days. Now, to put that in perspective, that would be like going to Coors Field on opening day and going to a great baseball game and having a hot dog and a beer and watching the Rockies play and hopefully win. But imagine 50,000 casualties, men north and south, who died in that battle in 3 days. It was often said that bodies were stacked up 4 or 5 deep. After the battle, it was said that you could smell Gettysburg from the death and destruction 10 miles away. David Willis, a well-known lawyer in the community, appealed to the local government, the state government of Pennsylvania, to enlarge and rebury those who died at Gettysburg. 18 states helped rebury their honored dead. Imagine what it must have been like to pick up and rebury these fallen heroes. Now, I've studied the Gettysburg Address for many years. And one of the things I find fascinating about it is the Bliss copy. There were 5 copies, but the Bliss copy we all know about. And if you've ever been fortunate enough to go to the Lincoln Memorial, that's the one emblazoned on the west wall. That particular copy has 272 words. 272 words is like a 2-minute speech in Toastmasters, what we call table topics. If you study, like I have, this particular speech, you'll find out a couple things. David Brooks, who's a world champion of public speaking, shared with me this information. Abraham Lincoln used economy of words. He used the fewest words in this presentation. He also used precise words. In other words, the best words. If you use economy of words and precise words, you have impact. Conversely, he also was clear in his speech. It had clarity. It also had brevity, which is being brief. So if you have clarity and brevity, you have conciseness. If you have impact and conciseness, you have the opportunity to give a great presentation. Now, one of the things I'd like to share with you also is that Abraham Lincoln, who gave this the second Gettysburg Address. There were 3 Gettysburg Address on that day. Of course, the first one was by Edward Everett, the keynote. The second was Abraham Lincoln. The third one was by a gentleman I'm sure many of us, you don't even know about. And it was given later that day by a gentleman named Charles Anderson, who later became the governor of Ohio. But on that keynote day of the Gettysburg Address, Lincoln hearkened back to his study of Euclid and the 6 books of geometry that he read after he was a representative for the state of Illinois. He wanted to become a better speaker, so he studied geometry and applied it to his speeches, in particular, the Cooper Union speech and the Gettysburg Address. He took this perfect format and the previous ideas I shared with you and created what I believe is one of the greatest speeches in the world. It's always an honor to share it with people. Abraham Lincoln was not the keynote that day. Edward Everett, as I mentioned earlier, was. He spoke from 50 pages of text, 13,000 plus words, over 2 hours. He, from the platform of where he was and the other guests, could see out on the battlefield and share with the 15,000 people there all the different skirmishes throughout the battle. And he squarely laid blame on the South. Now, he was given the freedom to produce his speech and given extra 30 or so days to write it. The original Gettysburg dedication for the Soldier Cemetery was to happen in October, late of October of 1863. But instead, he said he couldn't get it done in time. So they gave him another month. And so 19th of November was the set date. Abraham Lincoln was given on November 2nd the opportunity to participate with a few appropriate remarks by the President of the United States. We don't remember Everett's speech nor Anderson's speech, but we do remember those 272 words. fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or subtract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. It was later found out that Abraham Lincoln wasn't feeling well that day. In fact, he had a slight case of smallpox. And so he went back to the White House that night, recuperated, and the next day after the Gettysburg Address, he received a note from Edward Everett. And to paraphrase, Everett was kind enough to say, "You did in 2 minutes what I could not do in 2 hours." Lincoln thought he had failed. When he was done with the Gettysburg Address, the legend is that he turned to his security man, William Lamont, and said, "That won't scow," meaning to turn up the dirt for those of you who are farmers. But it did scow. It created a lasting impression on America. It fundamentally put America back on that idea of being an exceptional nation. It was the opportunity of that electric cord going back 87 years, when we were a nation that had an idea. I'll share a quick personal story about that. I love to read. I read voraciously. It's my hobby, and I read everything from philosophy to history to science to business books. And recently, I was reading a book by Richard Brookhiser on the 13 best scripts or pieces of literature in American history. Now, on Sundays, usually after all my honeydews are done, the chores of the day, I will enjoy a beverage, usually a bourbon, usually a 2-finger bourbon, a cigar, and a book. And I'll be sitting on my porch and reading. And oftentimes I'll post them on my Facebook page. Has anybody in the audience ever won a Facebook argument? I don't know about you, but I've never won one. So several years ago, I started posting a picture of a book, a bourbon, and a Belvedere. And I posted about this book called Give Me Liberty by Richard Brookhiser. And I said that America was an exceptional country, that as I mentioned earlier, for the first time in human history, a group of men came together and recognized that equal individual natural rights. Well, as Facebook is famous for, somebody came and decided to, how we should say, dirty up my Facebook page. My brother's better half decided to say, yeah, Brad, but except for the slaves and the blacks. I thought for a moment, as I often do, and I wonder if you do the same thing. Rather than write off a note from emotion, I'll write something out and put it away. Oftentimes I'll sleep on it and then come back and read that paper or my response. It's a great lesson to learn. Well, I looked at that and I wrote something and then came back to it about an hour later. And I wrote, Cindy, we love you. You're part of our family. But I said America was exceptional, not perfect. The idea of perfection is something that is elusive, but exceptional, every one of us here on this call today is exceptional. We all have stories that we can tell. Somebody needs to hear our stories, as one of my mentors, Mark Brown, talks about. And the question is, will you share your story? What do you have to say that others can benefit from? You know, I love baseball. I alluded to it earlier about the Rockies game, Coors Field. And this is a baseball, I'll show it to you. It's an official Rockies Major League Baseball. I bought it several years ago, about 20 years ago, when I moved here to Colorado. And what I usually like to ask people is, what do you think I paid for it? $5, $10, $15? Well, of course, you can't answer, so I'll answer for you. I paid $3.50 at the Rockies dugout store when they had those souvenir stores. Well, I collect a lot of memorabilia, baseball cards and baseballs, and this is a favorite baseball. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is one by the great Sandy Koufax, one of my heroes growing up. There's not a lot of great Jewish sports heroes, so Sandy Koufax and Hank Greenberg were mine. And I often like to ask people, what's the difference between this baseball signed and this one that's just an official Major League Baseball? I would suggest the difference between these two baseballs is value. The value we assign to something unique or rare, something outstanding or different. And that's what your stories have. They're unique, they're outstanding, and we need to be able to share them. Our American experience is inspirational to others, especially our young people. And so what I like to encourage you to do is start writing your stories down, because I know if you do, they will help others see why America is exceptional. Well, several years ago, actually back in 1977, when I was a mere lad, I was a senior in high school, and I was reading the Los Angeles Times. I lived in Southern California, and I opened up the paper, and there in the entertainment section was an ad for a concert of my musical hero, Charlie Daniels. Yes, the devil went down to Georgia, Charlie Daniels. I love Charlie Daniels way before that song ever came out. So I went to a ticket office. This is way before the internet. And I could only get 2 tickets, one on the floor and one on the loge, or the eye level with the stage. The young lady I was dating at the time, I said, hey, I got 2 tickets to my musical hero, Charlie Daniels. She said, I don't want to go to that. I said, he's opening up for Eric Clapton. She said, what time do you want me ready? We ended up going to that concert, and she sat up in the loge and snuck her way down to where I was sitting at the 5th row on the floor at the house that Jack Kent Cooke built, the Los Angeles Forum, where the Lakers play. Well, I noticed that up in the front row, there was a line of seats open. So I said to her, let's go. And she didn't want to do that. So I had snuck in my Canon FTB camera with high-speed Ektachrome and started just to take pictures of Charlie Daniels and Taz DeGregorio and all the band members playing an incredible concert. I mean, I was higher than a kite, and I had no substances that day. I was underage. I have to tell you, it was one of the greatest experiences I still remember to this day. Do you remember the great concert that you went to as a young person? You remember that first concert? I remember this one. Well, several years later, when I moved to Colorado, my wife and I were at a Cracker Barrel. Needless to say, it's not the same lady that I'm with today. And on the counter, as we were checking out, was a CD of Charlie Daniels' greatest hits and his patriotic music called Stars and Stripes. Well, there were a couple sides on there that I didn't have. I have all his albums and 45s. And like I said, I'm a Charlie Daniels geek. Who else goes to an Eric Clapton concert to go see Charlie Daniels? I'm that guy. Well, I bought this CD, and around the 6th track, I believe it was something that I heard that I'd never heard from Charlie Daniels before. It was called My Beautiful America, a song about America, actually a poem, written to a guitar. And I decided to commit it to memory because to me, it really talks about the uniqueness of our great American land. It talks about how special the places and the people are in our country. And so I'd like to share it with you. It's called My Beautiful America. Have you ever spent the late afternoon watching the purple shadows deepen in the Arizona desert? Have you ever seen a herd of elk plow their way through waist-deep snow on a cold Colorado dome? Have you ever seen the sun go down over Hawaii or the stormy waves break against the rock-bound coast of Maine? Have you ever seen an eagle fly up out of the mist in Alaska or a big October moon hanging full over the still Dakota Badlands? Have you ever tasted the gumbo in New Orleans, the barbecue in Carolina, or the chicken wings in Buffalo? Have you ever had Brunswick stew in Macon, or cornbread in Birmingham, or brisket slow cooked over hill country mesquite wood? Have you ever tasted the water from a gurgling branch in Utah, or stood above the mountain at El Paso del Norte and watched the lights twinkling clear over New Mexico? Have you ever jangled horses in the pre-dawn stillness of a perfect Texas day and watched their shod hooves kicking up sparks on the volcanic rock? Have you ever tended a trout line on a foggy Carolina morning or heard the distant song of a lovesick whippoorwill on a pristine Tennessee late night? Have you ever seen the faces at Mount Rushmore or stood at the Vietnam Monument? Have you ever crossed the mighty Mississippi or been to the Daddy of Mall in Cheyenne, Wyoming, or seen the mighty Vols run out on the football field on a chilly autumn afternoon? Have you ever seen the Chicago skyline from Lakeshore Drive at night, or the New England foliage in the fall, or the summer beauty of the Shenandoah Valley, or Indiana covered with new snow? Have you ever seen a herd of wild horses running free through the empty spaces of Nevada, or caught a walleyed pike out of a cold Wisconsin stream, or marveled at the tall ships docked at the harbor in Baltimore? Have you seen the dew sparkling on the new bluegrass, or the wind stir the wheat fields on the hot Kansas afternoon, or driven those old Route 66? Or heard the church bells peal their call to worship in some small town in the deep South? Have you ever seen the sun go down over the redwoods? Have you ever been to Boise or Baxley or Beaufort or Billings? Have you ever passed through Sanford or Suffolk or San Angelo? Have you ever seen the falls at Niagara, the Ice Palace in St. Paul, or the Gateway to the West? This then is America, the land that God blesses with everything. And no Eiffel Tower, no Taj Mahal, nor Alps, nor Andes, nor native hut, nor royal palace can rival her awesome beauty, her diverse population, her monolithic majesty. America the free, America the mighty, America the beautiful. My musical hero, Charlie Daniels, talking about the great land that we live in. He wrote something this past Independence Day on a Friday, and he said, I want to share with my fans my feelings about this great land and this diverse country. And on that following Monday, we lost Charlie Daniels. But we didn't lose the music and the intent and the ideas of this exceptional nation. We just lost a physical manifestation of a person who has brought so much joy into my life, and I hope perhaps this particular piece will bring some joy to your life as well. Celebrating America. We're fortunate as Americans, as I mentioned, because we have so much here in our great land. We are free to do and to seek what is important to each of us. One of my great heroes in life, besides my mom and dad, was Walt Disney, the Imagineer. Walt Disney once said, "You can dream the most beautiful dream, but it will take people to make that dream a reality." I know the people who are listening here today will go out and do great things and be successful. And I encourage you each to look up these speeches that I've shared with you today. The Optimist Creed about self and service and volunteerism. I'd like to invite you to read the Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech by Patrick Henry. The Gettysburg Address by our 16th President, Abraham Lincoln. And Charlie Daniels' My Beautiful America. I wish I could be with you today. I would be happy to share that baseball by Sandy Koufax and show you it's authentic. But I'll leave you with this final thought. We each have a story to share, and I'd encourage you to share it. We have nothing to fear, ladies and gentlemen, as Franklin Roosevelt said, but fear itself. So go out, have a yes day, have a successful day, and thank you for this opportunity to share with you some of my favorite speeches celebrating America. My name is Bradley Beck.
Well, Bradley, thank you very much for really a wonderful presentation there. You know, it reminds me, you know, I was thinking that may be more of a presentation for the 4th of July and our Independence Day celebration, but you know, we've got an election coming up, and we're Americans and have an opportunity to show our patriotism and participate in our democracy every day. So thank you very much for that. Really an inspiring thing, and I'm gonna look for those speeches. So thanks so much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's see. I would like to go back and see if Stephanie with the Raising Cane's chicken has been able to make it onto our audio and video presentation. And I want to go to Maki and see if we've got any success in that regard. Maki or Cheryl?
But we're having technical difficulties with Raising Cane's restaurants, so we're going to see if we can have them back next month.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that we had the technical difficulties bringing them online, but we're certainly glad to have their business here in Wheat Ridge and looking forward to having them join us again. So I want to also say that on your that we have announcements in your and let's see, I want to go back in the handout section. You've got your WRBA announcements that you can download and see all the things that are going on with WRBA and local works and other groups, and a lot of links that are happening in the city. Great things going on here. So I will let everyone take a look at those. And if I'm going on the right screen, I see that we've got Lowry Burnett joining us. Lowry, I'm going to turn it over to you if I can get to the right box to click. I don't hear your audio right now. No audio quite yet.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Beck. That was a wonderful presentation. Really appreciated that. I had 3 announcements as it relates to the WRBA BizMix. First, we do have a live in-person BizMix that's going to be, as it shows on the screen there, September 16th at 5 to 7. TM and Troy Cipher have been kind enough to offer to host that event. And then Fountainhead Commercial, my commercial real estate firm, as well as Taste Life Nutrition, will be co-hosting with Cipher Specialties. Their location is off just north of 44th and Harlan. So it's again 5 to 7 on the 16th of September. And please register for that event so we can have an appropriate head count and have enough food and delicious adult beverage for everyone that attends. So again, look forward to seeing you there. One other or a second part of this announcement that I'd like to share is that going forward, we have September booked for our BizMix. We do have availabilities for those WRBA members that want to host an event beginning in October and running through 2021. So we'll be reaching out to you, either Joe Seahusen or I will be reaching out to some members of the group to see if there's interest. We would encourage you to participate. I think it's a great opportunity for each business to showcase their physical location. If you don't have a physical location, you can co-host maybe with somebody that does. And so I think just don't hesitate to reach out to me via email or call the cell phone. And we'd like to showcase your business at an upcoming BizMix. We do have a great little raffle that I think the mayor was fortunate enough to win last week. So we're reset back to $100 for the September meeting. And last but not least, just wanted to say thank you to Emily Green, who has been handling this BizMix responsibility for at least the past year, and she's handed the baton to me going forward. So it's I'm hoping to at least reach the level of participation and energy and excitement that she brought to these events. And again, thank you to Emily and Mr. Beck for the presentation today. That's all I have.
Well, thanks so much, Lowry. Appreciate you joining the board and taking over the reins of the BizMix from Emily, who has certainly done a great job over the last year or two, and is a real. It's good to have you there. For our next update, I want to go to Ashley Holland, and Ashley, want to see what we've got in the way of community updates coming on.
Absolutely. So I just want to mention, other than the Ridgefest stuff I covered at the beginning, that as you may assume, right now we are not doing in-person bagging for Feed the Future. So that program is still continuing through Community Table, and we are so happy that they are still getting the kids in our community fed and making sure that everyone has enough food to go around. So, but right now they're not letting individuals in the school to help with the bagging. So don't worry about that for now. And we'll hear more from Community Table next month as we kind of go into our fundraising for them. That's it.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Ashley. Look forward to all those events coming up. Lynn Tran, another new member of our board of directors. I'm going to see if she can join us and give us some social media updates. Lynn, are you there?
Looks like she's not on right now, but I will go ahead and give the updates on the social media. Lynn Tran is a new social media coordinator for us at the WRBA, and she has created the private Reach Business Association group, which is open to all of the current WRBA members in good standing. So you are all invited to join us. And with that, and we're planning some activities because our in-person meeting opportunities are limited. We are trying to bring that more virtually and have more interaction and industry or topic specific group activities on Facebook. So if you're not on that group yet, please go to visit the Facebook group, and it's posted on the WRBA Facebook page how to request the access. So join that group today. And also with that, Lynn and Joe Stevenson are going to give a little workshop on how to use the Facebook group more effectively to help your business. That's coming up next Tuesday, September 15th from 9:30 to 10:15 on Zoom. On the WRBA website, there's a registration page where you can register and receive the access information. So please register and attend, and there's a lot of things that you can learn and you can actually apply to your business marketing as well. So make sure you sign up and join us for that. That's all, Bud.
Okay, well, thank you for that update. That looks like it's great to have a new social media event coming up for our WRBA members. I look forward to getting logged in on that and see what's happening on Tuesday the 15th. I certainly have a lot to learn about Facebook, so I got a real low threshold starting. So anyway, thanks for that update. We also want to go now to Cheryl Garcia to give us an update on our next speaker for October. Cheryl.
All right. Good afternoon. Mark your calendars for October 13th, tentatively at the Wheat Ridge Rec Center. So, and don't be scared, because what we're going to do is we're going to help you protect your information from the identity theft witches that are out there. So how do you keep your small business and your website secure in this strange new cyber world where threats lurk behind every email and website? It's a very spooky time. So what you're going to learn are ways that identity threats and what you can do today to safeguard your online information. You're going to learn how to protect your identity and the data of customers, employees, patients, and clients. Also, you'll learn how to know if your identity has been compromised. We're going to give you some tips on how to reduce your risk of becoming a victim of identity theft. So Brian is the owner of Edges Cyber, and they've been building and securing websites since 1998. The digital marketing firm that gets results. Edges Cyber puts your security in the front. Cheryl Garcia is the Vice President of Benefit Solutions for Legal Shield and ID Shield, been providing low cost, no employee benefits for small businesses, including identity theft workshops for over 20 years. So mark your calendars, and we hope to see you at the Wheat Ridge Rec Center, October 13th. Thank you.
All right. Well, I hope we're there. That'll be a new chapter in our life together, and it sounds like a really sort of a scary topic, the identity theft witch. Register at wheatridgebiz.com, and I wonder if you'll have any visual opportunities for us to maybe get a cue on a new Halloween costume that may be kind of scary with the identity theme on that. So thanks for that update on our next speaker and our next program. We are now at the concluding our presentation. We're a few minutes early, but I want to thank everybody for joining us. We really hope that you got some good information out of here. I want to thank Bradley so much for a very inspiring talk this morning, and really some great stuff. I'm going to have to go look up the Patrick Henry speech, because there was a lot there that I certainly didn't know. So anyway, thank you all for joining us. Hope you have a great afternoon. Have a safe week. Remember to stay socially distanced and wear your mask, and stay safe with one another, because we all work in this together. So thanks so much for being here, and everyone take care and have a great afternoon. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.